Hello and welcome to Science Unscripted. Connor here.
And Gabe?
Gabe and I are about to create a fictive scenario, a fake scenario, during an interview with an expert on workplace undermining, having colleagues who behave badly and spread rumors about you and do terrible things. I think a lot of you know that from the working world or from the non-working world. You've had that happen. Yeah. We're about to kind of pretend, for the sake of a really interesting interview, that I'm acting pretty awfully toward my co-moderator, colleague, and friend, Gabriel Borut.
Well, it goes back to this one single question. Have you ever been mistreated at work by someone? What did you do about it?
Science Unscripted.
Okay, so my name is Sandra Costa. I'm an assistant professor at ISCTE and a researcher at the Business Research Unit. And this is a study about workplace mistreatment. In this case, this study is about co-workers' relationships, how some co-workers undermine others.
Undermine others. What exactly do you mean by that?
So undermining, co-worker undermining is a subtle and most of the time unnoticed behavior such as spreading rumors, withholding information, taking credit for positive or successful actions at work, and sabotage behaviors.
So if our Science Unscripted show won some major award, and I'm going around and I'm like, look at my show, right? I would be undermining and kind of sabotaging my co-moderator and colleague, Gabriel Borut.
Yeah, because we split things 50-50 around here, Sandra.
Yeah, that's what you mean, right? I would be taking all the credit and kind of leaving my colleague in the dust.
Yes, that would be a good example of taking credit and an undermining behavior if you do not address the role of others in the success of the organization.
Okay, and so in your study, you were kind of looking at the people like Gabe then, right? The people who had been undermined to figure out what works best for them in a situation like that. What is, I think everyone wants to know this answer. What is the best thing for them?
Okay, so what happens is that you will feel sick. So you will have some somatic complaints, and such as back pain, such as headaches, such as some stomach issues. And what the study also found is that if you are able to forgive, you will not experience the same complaints.
As opposed to what, though? So alternatively, Gabe could go around and undermine me back, or he could go around and say, look, Connor's taking all the credit for this, that jerk. I do half the show, and then he's running around he could spread rumors about me. He could do all sorts of things. If he did that, he would still have the back pain, for example.
Okay, so yes, so what the study found, so we tested, we examined forgiveness cognition, so whether you are able to let it go. If you kind of replace those resentment feelings, anger, by something that is more empathetic, something that leads you to restore the trust in your coworker, it's better than if you decide or if you are planning to revenge.
And why, Sandra, does forgiveness or letting it go, why does that work? Why is that better than making things right, for instance?
In our article, what we do is that we propose that both forgiveness and revenge can help this situation. However, what the results showed us is that it's better to replace negative effect with positive, to be able to trust again, to be able to reconcile. And we believe that this happens because you will still work with that person afterwards. So forgiveness here also works as an instrumental tool for individuals to keep going in their daily basis.
How did you find this all out, Sandra? How did you conduct the experiment?
So in this study, what we do is that we invite a lot of people to join the study. We ask them to complete 3 different surveys.
And they were referring to actual experiences that they've gone through? Were they speaking with firsthand experience about forgiveness versus revenge in the workplace?
No, we use validated scales. So we also ask them to give an example of problems that happen with a coworker.
Let me just confirm what I think you've said, which is that we may have listeners right now hearing these words who have back pain, headaches, gastrointestinal issues, insomnia, all sorts of things, and that those come from, in part or in whole, their desire to exact revenge against somebody they hold a grudge against, somebody they feel betrayed them or undermined them in the past, and that if they can forgive, then they can alleviate those physiological symptoms.
Yes, this is what what our results shown is that if you are able to let it go, you will feel better. So you will feel more positive emotions, you will feel more empathy, you will feel more positive outlook on the workplace. And therefore, if you reduce the source of this stress, you will feel better.
Okay, Sandra, can you tell all of our listeners right now how to start this process? Do they think of someone that they want to get revenge against for whatever? Do they write that name down? And then what do they do now?
What I think is that this requires thinking about what is the situation, and then to consider what are the advantages of letting go, of moving forward. Instead of thinking about, I really want to get even, you think about yourself, and you think about there's a positive way through this. If I can just allow myself to go ahead and think about the future instead of the past. So it's letting go, because you will still working with that person, and you can work towards reconciliation and resolution instead of thinking that you want to get even, you want to restore justice somehow, because it's more important to think about yourself.
Sandra, have you ever forgiven someone?
Yes. It happened internally, so I never talked about it with that person. But I've decided to myself that I would let go, because in the end, what matters is how you feel. And if I was able to think about myself in that specific workplace, how I contribute for it, how the workplace supports me, I would be able to move on without having that specific person kind of undermining me anymore. So I think it was more internally.
And for the people who are listening to this possibly right now, who aren't able to do that, they don't know how to forgive, what would you say to help them?
Think about yourself. Think about how you want to see yourself in the future. You will see that forgiveness will help you. So just let it go. Just do not think about it, not about the incident, I would say.
And that was Sandra Costa talking to us from the University Institute of Lisbon in Portugal about forgiving the people who undermine you.
Nothing less than some of the topics at the heart of the Western canon.
Yeah.
Hamlet was an entire play about how do I get revenge, right?
Well, the New Testament.
I was gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The words of Jesus Christ, turning the other cheek. Interesting.
Instead of an eye for an eye. Yeah.
Yeah, and interesting that she, I think, correctly points out that there can be a level of naivete if you take it too far. If it's happening again and again and again and again, at some point, change your workplace or the people you're hanging around with, or address it. So start with forgiveness or the attempt at forgiveness, and then address the issue.
Yeah. Think about your future self. That rings a little bit in my ears from what she just said. Instead of being focused on the injustices of your coworker, think of who you want to be, and that person will be better off if you somehow forget, let it go, forgive this person.
Well, it's a ball and chain. It's an emotional, mental, and then ultimately physiological ball and chain. And if you project or picture your future self do you want to be beholden to that chain and that ball, or do you want to let it go, drop it off, and be a different person who doesn't have to waste their time thinking about that other person?
Yeah. Are you carrying a ball like that around? There's one. Can I share one real quick one?
Of course, yeah.
When we left our apartment in 2012 or 2013 or whenever it was, our landlord objected to the way that my wife cleaned the apartment.
Oh, right, yeah.
I was working at that moment. She was off on maternity leave, and she cleaned the apartment really well. And there were some crumbs. There were a couple of crumbs in the windowsill, and he made a comment that she should have cleaned better. I wanted to collect as much dog as I possibly could. There are a lot of dogs here in Germany walking through Cologne where we lived back then. And I wanted to smear it all over the windshield of that guy's car. Mm-hmm. I never did it, but it's a fantasy to this day. I still think about it.
Are you going to apply what Sandra Costa has just told us?
And forgive Herr Flam right now?
Yeah. Not now, like with the microphones on, but are you going to attempt to forgive, or at the very least let go, look at your future self and have that future self have less, no offense, but like less ugliness inside him?
Yeah.
Because that's an ugly thought.
Horrible. God.
That's the task. Can you do it? Can anyone actually do it? Can you do it? I'm talking to the people out there listening to this. Can you? Have you? Has it worked? su@dw.com.
Science Unscripted.